do another, I thought maybe to do a little bit more tonight so that we could, make up for Rosh Hashanah.
No Zoom Rosh Hashanah?
I don't know. Meanwhile, not. They haven't found the heter yet, but I don't know. Leave it up to the whatever.
The two Gedolim in Baltimore just came out with this massive letter. There's a shul, like supposedly Orthodox shul, doing some type of Zoom Rosh Hashanah stuff. They came out with this letter, like they're being totally what do you call it, Lifnei there and Isurim, like.
Interesting.
Did they say the name of the shul?
No.
Well, I heard that Reb Shmuel Kamenetsky said that if you're at home on a Zoom and you want to see Yud Gimel Midas, for Slichas, and you want to say Yud Gimel Midas, right? Normally, if you daven b'Yechidus, you can't say Yud Gimel Midas. And Reb Shmuel Kamenetsky said that you can, even though you're home alone, as long as.
Isn't that a little different than making Shabbos and Yom Tov?
No, that's yes. I'm just saying. I would if somebody asked me. I said no.
Yes, you, Simon.
And Simon's question is, if it's on Rosh Hashanah, can you do it on the Zoom? B'Yechidus.
Are you Yotze listening to the shofar over Zoom? That's going to be a good question this year.
I hope not.
What do you mean, Gabby? You know that Maisa with
What's it called?
The conservative shul. You don't have to go to hear shofar. She walked anyway, and the shofar was electronic.
You serious?
It took her 3 hours to walk there. And she got there, and the guy's blowing the shofar, and then you see him lean back, and the thing is still going.
That's pretty funny.
Actually, there's a great guy for Misa from, I think, Rabbi Yudin Shul in Fairlawn.
Fairlawn, yeah.
Somebody who's deaf. So he would keep his fingers on the Baal Tekei's vocal cords, and he would feel him blow.
So it's not one place together.
Yeah.
There is.
I said it nicely.
Yeah.
That's awkward.
That's a nice Baal Tekei. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Wow. I hear. Interesting.
Are you going to do a halacha share?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know what time of the day to do it. Maybe 8 o'clock Thursday. Thursday's too close to Yom Tov. Tomorrow? I don't know. I'll see.
Are you just gonna pull it out of your pocket like that?
Yeah, basically.
Can we take
a
Daf survey, or you'll just whatever works for you?
Whatever the Olam wants. If the Olam takes a survey and says they want a halacha share on Hilchos Rosh Hashanah, I'll do it. No problem.
And are you going to be by yeshiva?
Yeshiva when?
Rosh Hashanah.
Yes, I'm. Right now, I'm scheduled to daven Shachris in the tent. First day, Musaf in the Bismerish, and second day, Shachris in the Bismerish, and Musaf in the tent. That's what the schedule is right now for me. Assuming that the Ninyanim are not closed down.
Is that possible?
Yeah.
Really?
Anyways.
Anything's a possibility. Darkei just got closed.
Yeah. Okay, let's go. So Daf Lamed Vav with yesterday was we had the steer and R Yosi, or what you say about Suffolk, right? And then we went through the whole sugi of what's considered chazaka and what's not considered chazaka, and then making an eruv with 2 loaves of bread, one kosher, one not, as opposed to a Suffolk. And then we said a different rule that the eruv has to be fit to be eaten before Shabbos. And then the interesting case of a guy who makes an eruv, but then he says on Friday it's going to be chulin, and on Shabbos it's going to be hektish. And then the opposite case, on Friday it's hektish, and then it's going to lose its hektish. And then on Mebeis, then we weren't sure which one makes the eruv. Is it sunset or nightfall? Meaning shki or tzeis? Then the Mishnah says about making an eruv with a tanai. If the rabbi is coming from one end or the other end, you don't know which way, so you put out 2 eruvin, and then you'll choose. Or you can choose which way it's going to go. And then Rabbi Yehuda says one always has to go to his Rebbe. And then the Gemara says that Rabbi Yitzchak learns the opposite of our Mishnah, meaning it's a machlokes Not really. Well, I guess it's a machlokes. Do you rather run to the rabbi or away from the rabbi, right? Or are you running away from the goyim or running to the? It's really not a machlokes. It just depends which type of rabbi. Right? It's not a machlokes. Depends which type of rabbi. Right? So tonight, basically, we're going to discuss breira. All right. So breira means that you are you able to choose something in advance, but you don't know which one you're choosing until later. I had a good example for what breira is, and now I couldn't remember. I can't remember it now. Maybe it'll come to me as we learn it. An example of what breira would be.
See,
Yeah.
so once if you have taught if the Gadol Hadar, we said if the Gadol Hadar is one way and your Rebbe's the other way, you got to go to your Rebbe, not the Gadol Hadar. Is this just Yontif, the Chiyuv to see your Rebbe on Yontif? What is it talking about?
I don't think. I think it's any. You happen to know that your Rebbe's. The way I understood it, you happen to know your Rebbe's coming to town.
So what about next week, the Shabbos Shuva Drasha? Can you go to the Rav of your shul? You can go especially. I don't know every neighbor, but I know this neighbor.
What about when they do the Shabbos Chizuk for Lakewood, and they have one rabbi in the white shul, and then they have one in Young Israel Woodmere, and you want to walk to them? So
you say you want to walk or you don't want to walk? It depends who you want.
Right. So that depends.
Well, if you don't want to walk, you don't have an issue.
Aaron, I thought you were going to say, what if your Rebbe doesn't want to give a Shabbos Shuvah drasha?
Oh, yeah.
That's something else. Yeah.
And I think it would be any of all of the above. I think it would be all of the above. Any situation, what it is. I don't think it's any specific time you want to go to your Rebbe as opposed to. I think, but you're right. Maybe it's Yom Tif. Maybe, right? You'll be chayv makabel pnei rabbi b'regel. So maybe that would change. Okay, I hear. That's an interesting ha'ara. Yeah. Okay, so let's start from the two dots on Lamed Vav base. Rabbi Yehuda Omer haya echad mehen, right? That's Rabbi Yehuda said that if one of them Rabbi Yehuda seemingly in the Mishnah, his only disagreement is if you choose the Rebbe over the Chacham. That's all. But otherwise, he seems to agree. So there are basically three cases in the Mishnah. So it gets a little technical, but it's really not so complicated. There's three cases. Either you're going to put an Eruv, you're putting an Eruv to the west and an Eruv to the east, and then you're either going to make your Eruv to the east or to the west, or you're going to just, if nobody ends up showing up, you're going to end up being, you're staying in your own city, right? That's the three. That's the basic cases, right? Now, what happens if you have two chachamim coming from two different directions, right? So, bol lakan, then he can choose which one he's going to. But when is he choosing this? Right, meaning he's putting out the two eruvin on Friday, right? One to the east, one to the west. So, if the chacham only shows up from the east, so that's not breira, right? I mean, seemingly it's not breira. The Gemara is going to analyze it. Right, but the Gemara seems to be saying, at least initially, that that's not breira, right? Because there was no choice made. The rabbi only showed up from the east, so you're going to the east, right? But if you have a rabbi that comes from both sides, so then which way are you going? You can't have both, right? You can't go to the east and to the west. So there's a rabbi that came from east and a rabbi came from west, or a guy came from the east, or a guy came from the west. So the Mishnah, everybody in the Mishnah seems to be agreeing that you can choose whichever one you want. Right, which means that when are you choosing this? Shabbos morning, let's say. Right, when the rumors go out, you're going to just choose it Shabbos morning. So that means retroactively, you're choosing which Erev you're going to Friday afternoon, but you're choosing it Shabbos morning. Right? So that's So let's see. So Rabbi Yehuda Omer haya echad mehen v'Rabbanan zimnin eleicha lebechavri tvei Rabbi. That's that. The Rabbanan said that sometimes a person would rather go to his friend than to go to his Rebbe. Right, so therefore, the choice is up to the person. So Amar Rav, Lesel Masnisa, our Mishnah is not correct. Be the Tani Ayo, because Ayo has a different way of understanding Rabbi Yehuda. The Tani Ayo, that's the name of a Tana. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Ein Adam Masna Al Shnei Dvarim Ke'echad. A person, he's saying this b'shem Rabbi Yehuda now. Right? Again, Rabbi Yehuda is on our Mishnah, seemingly agrees that a person can make choices retroactive. Right? A person cannot make a t'nai condition on two things at once. If he can put out an Eruv, and if the Chacham comes to the east, the Eruv is to the east. If he comes to the west, the Eruv is to the west. But if two Chachamim come, one from each direction, then that doesn't work. Okay? Why? Seemingly, because he holds you can't do a choice retroactive. So then the Gemara says, okay, breira. If they both come from east and west, you can't make a choice. Right? The Mizrach breira. To the east and to the west, you also don't have breira. Right? Meaning, when are you choosing? Friday night, you put the Eruv out to the east and to the west. You don't have any idea which way the Chacham's coming. So basically, what you're doing is you're coming from the west, right? Let's say you decide to come to the west. So when are you deciding that you're going west? On Shabbos morning, right? So that means Lemafreya, you're saying that your Eruv was an Eruv to the west, right? On Shabbos morning, you're deciding that the Eruv Friday night, right, 12 hours before, was chosen. So why are you allowed to choose that? So Rav Yochanan, the Kvar Bachacham. No, Rav Yochanan says a very balabatisha answer. He says, "There, you're right. It's talking about where the Chacham already came from before Shabbos. Meaning that Chacham, he didn't find out about it until Shabbos morning. But it's not like the Chacham came marching into town Shabbos morning. The Chacham was already there Friday. He was already within his Tchum. Again, really, in all these cases, the Chacham can't come into the town. If he came into the town, why would anybody go anywhere, right? We're talking about where the Chacham's 2,000 amas ends within the 2,000 amas extra that you have to make the Eruv, right? So they're going to overlap right there, right? Again, the Chacham, if he was able to make an Eruv and come into town, that wouldn't be an issue, right? The Chacham got stuck on the road right outside the city, and his 2,000 amas gets him to within 4,000 amas of the city. So a person makes an Eruv, he's able to go out to 4,000 amas, and they overlap. Him and the Chacham and the Talmidim overlap, right? So we're talking about, Rabbi Yochanan says, we're talking about where the Chacham already, the Chacham was already there before Shabbos, right? So Memela, the Eruv to the west was already in place before Shabbos. The person just didn't know. He just didn't know about it. Meaning, if the Chacham rolls in on Shabbos, then the decision's being made on Shabbos, retroactive to Friday Shkia, right? But if the Chacham was already there from before Shabbos, so then the decision was already made before Shabbos, and then that's fine.
So this
right?
isn't a decision that this person is making, right? It's different than other breiras where later he has retroactive clarification and decides that that's what he's choosing. Here, I mean, I don't know if you could say like Hashem knew which of these chachams would come first, right? There is a difference between other different types of breiras and this one where.
Well, right. So that's what he's saying. That he's saying that this one turns in. It's not a breira. Well, let's see. Let's see how we go. Let's see how we go further. So Gemara says, "Adarabba lesser l'dayim masnisin." Well, who says that? Meaning, so basically, we have two versions of Rabbi Yehuda. We have our Mishnah's version where he holds a breira, and we have Daya, whose version of Rabbi Yehuda holds is no breira. So we had said, our Mishnah is incorrect. Well, who says our Mishnah is incorrect? Maybe Daya is incorrect. So Gemara says, no, you can't think that he's incorrect. Because we have a Mishnah that says that Rabbi Yehuda very clearly does not hold of breira. The Tanan halekech yamim ben kusim, somebody who's buying wine from kusim, Aimer, this plot here is a Daf Yomi's dream right here, right? Aimer, unless you do Taisvis.
Only if it's easy.
Only if you do Taisvis, it's right. Anyway, so Aimer, so what the person does, meaning see, there's something missing it's not missing from the Gemara, but the Gemara just says you're buying wine from the Kusim. Yes, you are, but you're not taking delivery of it, right? You're not taking delivery of it, and you want to start separating your Trumos and massros before you even take delivery. Meaning, while it's still in the store, you want to start separating Trumos and massros. Somebody who's buying wine from the Kusim, but he doesn't have a way to take it home, right? Meaning, you tell the guy, you go into the store on the way home from work, he says he's having a sale. You say, okay, I'm buying that wine. You pay him for it, but you don't have the jugs. So you're running home to get the jugs. Meanwhile, you're starting to separate Trumos and massros in your head. Right? So you take wine from Goyim, Omer, he says, Shnei Lugin, Shani Asid Lahafrish, Harei Hain Truma. 2 Lugin are Truma. Let's say, because the assumption is that there's 100, right? There's 100 Lugin here. So when we crunch the numbers, 2 Lugin become Truma. Then you need to give Maisa from that. Asara is Maisa Rishon. Then you give 10 Lug from Maisa Rishon to the Levi. And then Tisha, Maisa Sheni. And then 9 from that, because that's what's left over, is 9 Lugin Maisa Sheni. Umechel. And then you can meichel, and then you take the maaseh sheni and you paid it onto the money, like we've been learning, right? You say the kedusha from the wine goes onto the money, and then shoysa miyad, then you can drink it right away, and you don't have to.
Actually separate it?
Do the actual separation. You can just start drinking. He goes to the store and he wants to drink it in the store, or he wants to drink it in the store before he gets home, right? So he wants to drink it. So we could say, as long as he's going to leave over all this stuff at the end, that's perfectly fine, right? Now, by the way, we discussed the most practical application of this. This does come up, believe it or not. Friday night, you're sitting in you made on mitzi, and all of a sudden, you remember that there was no challah taken off, right? It's a practical. It comes up, right? So now, what do? So what you do is in your head, you say you're going to leave over some challah, and then Matzah Shabbos, from that challah, you're going to separate. It's not exactly this case, but that's essentially what you have to do. So that's essentially what's going on here too. But whatever it is, he's doing breira. He's doing breira here because he's able to drink from the wine, right? As long as he leaves over some wine. So it means every little bit of wine that he's drinking, right now, he's saying this is not the wine that was Trumos and massros, right? Even though he made that decision before. So Remeir holds you could do this. Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yosi, Rabbi Shimon, Eisrin. Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yosi, Rabbi Shimon say it's Asr. So clearly Rabbi Yehuda says you're not allowed to do this, so he doesn't hold the breira. So which is not like our Mishnah. So therefore, it's Ayoy is correct and our Mishnah is not correct in the sheet of Rabbi Yehuda. So Ula is a different teretz. Ula Amar Lesel Ayim Masnisa. No, we don't have to come on to Ayoy to understand our Mishnah. Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yosi, Rabbi Shimon, Eisrin. Ula Zuzi Katani. What do you mean? It says Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yosi, and Rabbi Shimon Aser. So we say no. Ula, it learns it as pairs. Zuzi Katani. The way he learns it is you got to put a comma into the previous Mishnah. It says Divrei Reb Meir v'Reb Yehuda. Reb Meir and Reb Yehuda say that there's breira. Reb Yosi, Reb Shimon, Eisrin. Reb Yosi, Reb Shimon say it's Aser. Right? Again, the way we had originally did it, we learned the price. It was Divrei Reb Meir. Reb Yehuda, Reb Yosi, Reb Shimon say Aser, and they clearly don't hold the breira. Ula is saying no. It's Divrei Reb Meir v'Reb Yehuda, comma. So Reb Yehuda does hold the breira. Reb Yosi, Reb Shimon Aser, and they don't hold the breira. Okay, a very interesting teretz. Okay, so now we have a machlokes what Rabbi Yehuda really holds. Does he hold the breira? Does he not hold the breira? Now we're going to go after Rabbi Yosi, because Rabbi Yosi, clearly, according to all opinions, does not hold the breira. So now we're going to ask quite a few kashas on Rabbi Yosi from breira. The Savar Rabbi Yosi ain't breira. Does Rabbi Yosi not hold the breira? V'tanan Rabbi Yosi aimer shtei nashim shalachu es kineim be'erev. So 2 women who, right? So after they have a baby, so they have to bring 2 karbanos, 2 birds. One is a chatas, one is a oila. So 2 women, they go and they had a partnership, and they bought their birds for the erev, with erev, not erev, nothing to do with erev that we're talking about. They mixed it together, right? Or they give the birds to the kohen.
That word was used intentionally, Reb.
Which word? The erev.
Yeah.
You should write. I should have pointed. Has to be right. 100%. Right.
They put that word on purpose.
I'm saying you have to use that word. It could be shutfis. They could have used shutfis, right, or something. Yeah. I don't know if shutfis works, but yeah, something. Yeah, you're right. 100%. So,
it means together, or it means they mixed each other up. They didn't know which one's which.
What? Together. They didn't decide which one. Together they went. You say we get a good deal. We buy 2 birds, right?
But they didn't mix it up.
Buy 4 birds instead.
And you get killed.
No, they didn't mix it up. No, they didn't mix it up. They went and
Wait,
bought
you
4
killed
birds.
2.
They got a good deal. What?
Killed 2 birds with 1 Cohen.
Very good, doctor. Okay, yes. Anyways, so it's saying so shtei nashim shalofes k'neim be'eruv. They took it with the mixture together. Oishen nasnu k'neim l'kayin, or they gave their birds to the kayin. Eza shir to kayin yakrav oila, whichever one the kayin wants to bring is the oila he brings. Well, eza shir to yakrav chatas, and whichever one he wants to bring, he brings as a chatas. So what do you see? That's breira. Meaning each woman has to give their bird. One is a oila, one is a chatas. Who's deciding which one it is? The kayin, right? The kayan's basically deciding that when the ladies gave it, so it worked. So you see, so and this is Rabbi Yosi talking. So it's a stira. Here Rabbi Yosi seems to say breira works, and we just finished saying Rabbi Yosi says breira doesn't work.
It has to be from the time they bought it.
Oh, very good. So that's gonna be. Let's see, right. It seems like that from the Gemara, right? So then Amar Rabba Hasam Kishehisnu. There it's talking about where they made a t'nai, right? That they made a t'nai. It said the kohen's going to decide which one it was. Meaning the ladies didn't decide, the kohen decided. So then Gemara said, Yachi mai lememra. What's the chiddush? If the kohen's the one that decides which one's the oila, which one's the chata, so then these ladies weren't part of the decision making at all, right? Kamash malak Rav Chisda, the Amar Rav Chisda ain't a kinin misparshas, right? Kinin, you can't. Misparshas means that you don't separate them literally, but it means that you don't make them into karbanos. You're not miyachid them karbanos. Ella iba lakichas bailim iba siyas kayin. Either when the baal takes it, when they buy it, that's when they have to decide, or when the kayin does it. So therefore that is the chiddush that it's still going to work. Right, even though they're making it tonight, fine. So that's one case. Still, we have another case. Does Rabbi Yosi hold that you can't do breira? Vatanya ama aretz. No. So now we need a little background for this next case also. So basically, if a chacham is not allowed to, if a chacham is going to buy something for an amoritz, right? So we're afraid amoritz is not going to take off massros. So can he give the food to the amoritz without first separating the massros? It's lifnei iver, right? Can he do that? Can he not do that? Right?
We are worried. We're not worried.
We are worried. Yeah, we'd be worried. How can he give it?
Of Roiv Ameyar's Meisenheim, no? Is there such a klal of Roiv Ameyar's Meisenheim?
No, but you have the demai issue, right? That they don't do, right? So the Chachamim made a takana that Amaratzim were afraid that they didn't. Yeah, that's a different issue with the whole Roiv. That's a good question. But anyway,
I'm saying why we choshed if why is there a klal?
No, because the Chachamim made demai, right?
Why are we choshed if there's a klal like that?
What?
Why are we choshed if there's such a klal?
Because the Chachamim decided that there was enough of a percentage. I think that's a pshat. No, that they decided that you have to read.
I mean, you're still choshed even though
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, so the Chacham can't give it to him. So the question is now the Chacham went and bought this stuff, and he's going to have to go give it to the Amoritz. So if the Chacham owned it and then he gives it to the Amoritz, so then you have the problem. But if he never owned it and he was just being like the shliach to deliver it to the Amoritz, then it's not a problem, right? So the question is, he's going to buy it now. He's going to have to decide which one is his and which one goes to the Amoritz, right? Take for me a bundle of vegetables, like gluska achas, or one cake, right? Or a bottle of bread, whatever it is. You do not have to take off ma'aser first, meaning the Talmud Chacham does not have to take off ma'aser before he gives it to the Amoritz. But Chacham say he does have to. So why does he have to? Because he has the breira. And whatever part of this mixture the Chacham decides to keep for himself, means that the other one is for the Amoritz, right? I'm sorry, Rabbi Yosi. I'm sorry, I said it the opposite. Rabbi Yosi says you don't have to take off ma'aser, right? Because he holds a breira. So therefore, one belonged to the Amoritz the whole time. It had nothing to do with the Chacham. Chacham was just the delivery boy. The Chacham say he does need to take off ma'aser because we don't hold a breira, Therefore, the whole thing belonged to the chacham, right? And then he's delivering, then he's giving it to the Amartz. He's not a delivery boy, he's actually selling it to the Amartz, in which case he has to take off Maisa first. So Gemara gives a great terror. It's Epoch, so switch the Shitas, right? Switch Rabbi Yosi and the Chachamim. So Rabbi Yosi is the one that says he does need to give Maisa, and because he doesn't hold the breira, and the Chachamim hold that you do. Fine, so Toshima, a similar case. So I'm a Maisa Sheyeshi Bebesi. The person says that the meiser he has in his house, mechulul al sela shatala biyadim in a kiss. The meiser I have in my house, he says, should go onto the first coin that I'm going to take out of my pocket. Rabbi Yosi, I remember mechulul. Rabbi Yosi says it's mechulul. It works, right? So how does it work? You don't know which coin you're taking out of your pocket. How do you know which coin you're taking out of your pocket? So how could it work? Elamai all the breira. So Gemara says again, epoch, right? Rabbi Yosi, so let's say Rabbi Yosi says you're not mechal it, right? So we're switching the shitas there. Or my chazis. So basically, what happens is we have 3 cases of Rabbi Yosi, and we're switching 2 in order to fit into the other one. So who says maybe you should switch to 1 instead of the 2, right? So Gemara says, "Oh my chazis the afach tarti mekamechada. Why are you switching 2 brises in front of 1? Epochada mechama tarti, right? Switch 1 instead of 2." So the Gemara says, no, havada ifcha. This one you certainly have to switch, right? Tanya, because why? Havada ifcha Tanya. We have to, because we learned it the opposite. The Katani Sefer, we learned the Sefer, meaning the Sefer of these cases. Rabbi Yosi agrees. He says, the Maisa that I have in my hand should be going on the new coin that I bring out from my bag, from my wallet, right? That meaning that's going to be mechul. So here he says, Rabbi Yosi, that it does work on the coin. Must be the deoyraysa, means it was a mechal. Fine. So therefore you see clearly that from this price it's pashut that Rabbi Yosi does not hold of breira. So Gemara says, "Hi selach hadosh." So in this last case of taking out a new coin, what's the case? Either ikatarti tlas diyesh breira hainu kamaisa. If you're going to say it's 2 or 3 cases, 2 or 3 coins, and we say yesh breira hainu kamaisa, then it's the reisha. That's the reisha's case, right? So why should he be more makel? Ella deleka ella chada. Must be there's 1 coin in the bag, and there there's no breira, right? A guy has 1 coin in his pocket. He says, "Oh, my meiser from these fruits and vegetables that I have are going to be mechulul onto this coin." There's no breira there. You only have 1 coin in his pocket. What's the big deal, right? So then my tala, what does it mean? Whichever one comes out of the wallet first. Of course, that's the only one that's going to come out of the wallet. So when answers, I did tana reisha tala, tana sefer nami tala. No, it's just since it uses a term of tala to go up in the reisha, because in the reisha there were a few coins in the wallet, so we use the same term in the sefer, but really it's lav dafka. Fine. Amalei Rav Nachman man haytana. Who is the Tana that says that even by a derabanan there's no breira? The Tanya, Amar Lachamisha, he says to 5 people. There's another interesting case. A guy goes to 5 people and says, "Hareini ma'arev al eze mikem she'erza." I'm going to make an eruv tchum for any, meaning a guy is going out, he's making an eruv tchum, and he says, "I'm going to make an eruv tchum for one of you guys. I'm not telling you which one, right? I'm going to make for one of you 5. Ratzisi yelech, if I want you to go, then you can go. Loi ratzisi lo yelech." That guy sounds like a very power-hungry fellow, right? He doesn't tell the 5 guys who's getting the eruv, right? He says, "But I'm going to decide. Ratzisi yelech, if I want, you'll go. Loi ratzisi lo yelech, if I don't want, you're not going to go." So ratzami ba'idiyayim eruv eruv. If he decides who gets the eruv when it's still Friday, then it's an eruv. Mishech shecha ain't eruv eruv, but when it's dark, his eruv is not an eruv. Yeah, so.
These fellows wanted a different eruv?
I guess so. Right? You can't do that otherwise. We're going to discuss this later on in the Masechti. It's not Zachin, right?
Right.
How can you say it's not Zachin because he loses the other way, right? An Erev Chatzeros would be Zachin. You have nothing, if you include a guy in your Erev Chatzeros, nothing. But Erev Tchum, right, very good point, right? So it must be these guys wanted it. So the Gemara says, Ishtik v'loy. So he asked him, who was the Tana of this Mishnah? So Ishtik v'loy amar lei v'loy midi. He was quiet and he didn't answer him back. So the Gemara says, why don't we say that it's something that learned by Ayoy? Because he clearly does not hold a breira here, because he said it has to be, the decision has to have been made from Friday. So hu lo shmi'alei. He didn't hear. He never heard. He didn't hear about Ayoy's din, so he couldn't say that. So then Rabbi Yosef Amar Tanoi Shaklas Shakalt Me'alma. Did you take all the Tanoim from the world? Meaning you can't find anybody that's the author of this breira that says that the Eruv has to be done before Shabbos. Tanoi, it's a straight Amachloikas Tanoim. The Tanya Reini Ma'arav l'Shabbos Shekol Hashana. So a guy says, I'm making an Eruv Tchum for every Shabbos of the whole week, of the whole year. Ratzisi Eilech, if I want, I'll go. Loi Ratzisi Loi Eilech, if I want, I'll go. If I don't want, I won't go. So if he decides before Shabbos that he's going, then his Eruv is an Eruv. But if he decides once it's dark and it's already Shabbos, then it's a machlek. Because Rav Shimon, I'm an Eruv Eruv. Rav Shimon says his Eruv is a good Eruv. His Eruv is not a good Eruv. Yeah? So you see it's a machlekes Tanoim, right? Because the one that's Rav Shimon is saying the Eruv is a good Eruv from Mishech HaShecha, from when it's dark, so that means he holds a breira. I'm sorry, he does not hold a breira. No, he does hold. No, I'm sorry, we mixed up. Rav Shimon says he holds breira. Chacham say he doesn't hold the breira, so therefore the Eruv is not an Eruv. So the Gemara says Vashaminu Rav Shimon the Leslie breira, right? We know that Reb Shimon on Amud Aleph, Reb Shimon was one of the shitas that says he do hold a breira. So kasha the Reb Shimon under Reb Shimon, so then it's a kasha from Reb Shimon under Reb Shimon. Ella epoch to switch it, right?
I was about to tell you, Yaakov, where you're getting confused. Like, oh, I meant the other way. I was going to say, what's the difference? I'm going to say epoch anyway.
Reb Aaron, you're having an influence on the whole shir. You're right. That's true. It's gewaldig. Yeah. April, just switch the shitas. You can't possibly get.
But we have this Shabbos of brachas. We had this all the time.
I think in brachas we had in brachas. It'd be a great one for the test. You answer wrong. You say, "No, just switch the shitas." Tell the Rebbe, "Yes, I'm switching the shitas." Okay, you're right. Anyway, so my kasha. What's the kasha? Maybe you could. Why do you have to switch the shitas? Dilma ki Leslie the Reb Shimon breira deoyraysa. Maybe Reb Shimon doesn't hold the breira. That's when it's an issa deoyraysa, right? Right. Trumos and massros is an issa deoyraysa. But the derabanan eruv islay. He does hold. You could do breira. Yeah. So the Gemara says, Kasavar Rabbi Yosef man de islay breira loishna b'deoyraysa loishna b'derabanan. Islay. Rabbi Yosef holds no. If you hold, you're either all in or you're not. If you hold the breira, you hold of it whether it's for derabanan or whether it's the derabanan. And the one who doesn't hold the breira doesn't differentiate between derabanan and derabanan. I'm sorry, Leslie doesn't hold of it. Rava says something else. Shani Hasam to be in a racist sheshireh nikran. A new rule in the halachas of Trumos and massros is that you have to have Trumos and massros. You have to separate it. Meaning when you're separating Trumos and massros, you can't just say, oh, that big barrel, okay, 2 lug is going to be Truma, 10 lug is going to be Meiser, and then another 9 lug is going to be Meiser Sheni. No, you can't do that. It has to be differentiated. I think that would be the word, right?
So why was the Levi?
No, we said that on the other Amud. We said, no, you could do that thing Erev Shabbos when you bought. That's all over the place, that din.
Right, so it seems like he's saying... No, Rav is saying that's why over there breira doesn't work. Not because of breira. He's saying it doesn't work because it's not differentiated. It's all still in the barrel in the Kusi's house.
What about the Levi just taking whatever he wanted before anything was massros to the coin?
Yeah, but there he's separating it there, no?
No, the Levi just took before anything was separated.
Yeah, but he separated his part.
The Levi is not the owner of the field.
The Levi...
He doesn't own anything. He's just
taking
what's owed to him.
He's still separating something, no?
Wait, so I can go to somebody's house and just take something and say, okay, I'm a kohen, I can get my truma?
Well, no. I think in that case, he knew that the guy was going to give it to him, and he jumped the gun over the kohen. He was just saving the 0.2%. I think that was the case where he knew the client was going to give it.
Maybe
Whatever.
he had
Yeah,
two
but he didn't give it
son-in-laws.
yet. So isn't it the
one
same
son-in-law
thing?
was
There's nothing was separated.
one
It
son-in-law
doesn't
was a
matter that
Levi,
he was
one
going
son-in-law
to.
was a Kohen.
Maybe,
That's true.
but he
Or
liked
two-
one
two
son over the
Einikl.
other one.
He had two Einikl. One Einikl was a Levi, one Einikl was a Kohen.
Maybe.
And he liked one more than the other, and he said, "I want you to save the 0.2%."
That would be a typical example, right? You know, a guy blow up his family over a 0.2%. You know what I mean? That's happened before.
And that's not right.
No, I don't know. But anyway, so I think there it was differentiated. I think. Okay, right here. I don't know. I don't know. Okay. So that's a new rule that we say that there you need reisa shashira and nikrin. So it's interesting because then that means there on Amud Aleph now it's no longer a breira issue. Now it's an issue whether you hold that you need to have your Trumos and massros, different, right? Yeah, meaning so he's saying really he does hold a breira, but it just doesn't work. Yeah, that's the way Rava says. Amalei Abaye Alameyato. If a guy has two pomegranates of Tevel, see in Yonah Deoyraysa, pomegranates. I don't think the din is only. You think it's only in liquid, Gershon? Maybe. Gerson's saying maybe in liquid, yeah, it's not differentiated, but in solids like grain, maybe it is. Uri, maybe that's okay.
Right, it's definitely harder to differentiate as a liquid. I mean,
right.
than like.
So maybe taka. Bez Hashem, when we do Mishnayos Yomi and we end up doing we do Zroyim, maybe we'll get more educated in this, right? So Elamiyata, Hamalei Abai Elamiyata, Ilfano Shnei Riyim. Somebody has two pomegranates, shall Tevel. V'amar says Im Yarduk Shamim Hayayim Yezeh Truma Alzeh. If it's going to rain today, then one is going to be Truma for this one. V'im La Yarduk Shamim. If it doesn't rain today, Hayayim. I'm sorry. Im La Yarduk Shamim Hayayim. And if it doesn't. If it doesn't rain, Yezeh Truma Alzeh. Yeah, so meaning basically the guy's just playing games here. He's got two pomegranates. One has to be Truma, one doesn't. Now, even though pomegranates Truma is only 2%, right? But you are allowed to take off more. So he's playing the shtick, sort of like the Shayashu guys, Ribarim, when they went to college, right? The rule was in Shayashu for a while, in case Donald doesn't know what I'm talking about, is that if it was raining, you went, and it didn't rain, you didn't go to college, right? That was what it was. You're muted.
I didn't go when it was cloudy. It started out not to go when you rained, but then I was machmir. I didn't go when it was cloudy.
I hear. Yes, I remember my father's was telling me that he had a certain point on the Van Wyck that if the cloud was over the sun, then they turned around. And if not, I don't understand the chokhmah of that one, but okay. I don't ask no questions on that door. No questions, but something like that. So this door decided that you have two pomegranates. If it rains, then the right pomegranate's becoming truma and the left is fine. And if it doesn't rain, the left is becoming truma. Now this sure sounds like a breira case to me if I ever heard one, right? So hachanami bein yardu bein lo yardu dein devar of klum. Does this mean that it doesn't whether it rains or it doesn't rain? It's meaningless what he says. We can say yes, it is meaningless because we don't say breira, but it's not truma. Truma sakri hazeh umassros. If somebody says the truma of the kri of this pile, this and it's massros b'soichai that are in it, u'trumas massros zeh and the trumas massros in this pile, the soichai, right? That's in this. If Shimon Omer Kora Hashem, he called it shame, meaning it's proper, meaning a guy can go over to a pile and say whatever's in this pile is becoming trumas. This one's coming true. Is he can go to a pile and say this is that. So you see clearly that it doesn't have to be differentiated. Gershon, this is, I think this slugs up your teretz, right? Because this is talking about l'chayra. A kri is l'chayra, not liquid. Okay. Anyway, so the Gemara says no. Shani hasam there works dika sviva. I don't clearly understand this teretz. There is different, and you can go. Even though it's not differentiated in a pile, there it's different because there's other grain around it, which is gonna combine to the other parts. Okay, I don't know exactly what that means. they asked Reb Meir, why aren't you worried in the case, going back to the case of Amud Aleph, where he went into the wine store and he didn't have Trumos and massros, right? He didn't have a jug, so he took off Trumos and massros. So they asked Reb Meir, aren't you moed Shema Yivka annoyed? Maybe the bucket, when he's on his way home, how do you know that his jug is going to crack open, all his wine's going to spill out, and now he's got Tevel, right? Maybe the Trumos and massros is the one that spilled out. You never properly separated or gave it to the kohen, and now all your wine is messed up. Right, retroactively, he's going to be eating Tevel. So he says, I'll worry about it when it breaks. Right? The classic rabbi answer, right? When somebody says, theoretically, when it happens, come back to me. Right? But you see that was a concern. What?
That's a massor with Rav Bick. I wrote that in the Gemara, Rav Bick, by Entebbe.
Oh, where they asked him, what was it?
Yeah, so there's machlokes the Satner Rebbe and Lubavitch Rebbe, if it was a nace or if it was a Maisa Sutton. So a fellow called Rav Bick, and because he wanted to get Rav Bick involved, he said he wanted to know, he's going to Entebbe on business, should he make a bracha, Shanasa Nestle Yisrael. So Rav Bick said, when you get there, call me.
Right, very good. Right, so that's exactly this. Fine. So anyway, so that's what the Gemara is saying. But clearly they see that that maybe the reason was they were afraid that you can't do this is because it's might break, and therefore you're going to end up eating Tevel. Fine. Now the Gemara says, "L'may desalakadaitin meikar the bein and rashis shashira nikrin," and this that we thought in the beginning that you need to have rashis, it needs to be separated, it has to be recognizable. My karmalei, what did he answer? We hold that you need rashis that are nicker, right? And therefore it's no good. But according to you, who disagree with that, so he said you have to be maida, you have to agree that if the jug is going to break and you shaisa tefillin l'mafreya, then it's going to be a problem. So we'll worry about it when it breaks, right? Okay, I guess it's a hard daf, so I guess I wanted to do this next Amud, but tomorrow night, maybe we'll do an Amud and a half, and we'll see from there. Okay, I'm sorry if I didn't explain the whole daf. It's a little difficult daf, but I didn't have a breira. We had to do it.
Rabbi Stein.
There you go, doctor. That was for you.
Rabbi Stein, when I was about 6 years old, I had 2 nickels in my pocket. And I lost 1 nickel, so I said to my mother, I lost Paul's nickel. My brother. Was that breira?
No, that's just being a brother. That's not.
Oh, okay.
Also you didn't have a breira.
No, I decided retroactively it must have been my brother's nickel that I lost.
Right, exactly.
Earlier we were discussing the tchum. You're going to make it on one side, and then on lamed vav on mevez, right? The tchum you're going to make it on both sides, depending on which way the rav is coming from. Is that what that case was?
What are you saying?
Is it on lamed vav on mevez, right? You said the guy makes a tchum, right? He's deciding which direction he's making the tchum, right?
Right.
And he's doing it based on which way the chacham's going to come from. Is that what it was?
Not deciding. He's not deciding which way the chacham comes from. Which case are you talking about?
I'm saying we started with, right? What did we start with?
The first case.
Yeah, the first case.
First case is we didn't know which way. Nobody knew which way they're coming from.
Nobody knew which way the chacham was coming from, so he made tchum on both directions, right?
Correct.
But whichever way he was coming from, he was there before Shabbos. Right?
That was the original teretz, yeah.
Right. So he was there before
tomorrow.
Since he was there, since he got into that tchum from before Shabbos, meaning he got into the tchum of the guide. He had to be within the tchum, otherwise how did he show up on Shabbos?
Well, I was going to say, how is he traveling to begin with?
Right. Very good. I didn't explain that. I should have explained that better. The chacham made it to within the 4,000 amos of this
other city,
tchum,
this other place, right?
Or this other place, or whatever. He made it in there, even though the chacham couldn't go any further. But he was within this guy's tchum from before, So really, the decision was made before Shabbos for
But
everybody.
the guy who made the tchum didn't know which side it was coming
exactly.
from. That's what it was.
Yes.
But for the chacham, because I was going to say, how's the chacham allowed to travel in general?
Exactly.
If he didn't know?
Yes, I was thinking that while I was saying it. I was like, I think I have to explain this a little better, and then I just botched it. So Baruch Hashem, you helped me clarify it.
I didn't know if it was a good question or not, so I waited till the end when people got off. Okay, good.
Okay, now I got to log off because my kids got delayed. I promised them ice cream, buy one get one free. Remember those days? Tuesday, buy one get one free. So